Okay, so thank you for joining us tonight. We've got a great speakers program scheduled. We have a series that we're starting called Community Connections. And joining us tonight is Dr. Jose Calderon on the subject of the Latino and Latina Roundtable of the San Gabriel and Pomona Valley. But before we begin the program, just a few housekeeping items. I wanted to remind folks of the various links where they can get connected and stay informed with our group. We've got our website, Facebook private group. We've got Instagram, YouTube, where we locate all of our speakers programs. So if you missed any of them in the past, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch them anytime, anywhere at your convenience. We are not actively in our membership drive per se, but if you haven't renewed your 2024 membership, you have membership as low as $10, and you can do that through our secure ActBlue hyperlink there. Also, just wanted to thank our sponsor memberships for 2024. We have several of them this year. Derek Bomanu, Dennis Bertone, Tim Hepburn, and Hilda Solis have all come in this year as sponsor memberships. And what that does is that opens up to 5 free individual memberships for those who cannot afford or want to join and enjoy the rights of a voting member. So we have up to 20 free individual memberships this year that we're happy to extend to anyone who is interested, courtesy of the generous sponsorships of those 4 members. Also wanted to highlight our 2024 Local Candidates Victory Fund. We've had a lot of generous support specific to that. And that fund is dedicated to our election efforts, and we will likely be very busy supporting Democrats in the November 2024 election, specifically our local elections. We have school board elections coming up, and we know that the Republican Party are targeting school boards, county boards, city councils, and we do need to protect and defend our progressive folks on the school board. But thanks to all of the generous sponsors and donors for the Victory Fund. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Mr. David Estrada, who will be introducing Dr. Calderon and facilitating the conversation tonight.
Thank you so much, Matthew. I'd like to mention the names of our officers, if I may. First of all, our president, of course, is Matthew Lyons. Tracy Lee Taylor is our immediate past president. Michelle Kashviligita is our vice president of outreach. Evan Lyons is our vice president of communications. I'm David Estrada, and I'm vice president of membership. Our distinguished speaker this evening is Professor Jose Calderon. His full name is Jose Zapata Calderon. He is the president of the Latino Latina Roundtable of San Gabriel and Pomona Valley, and he's an emeritus professor in sociology and Chicano studies at Pitzer College. Professor Calderon received his Bachelor of Arts from the University of Colorado in communications, and his MA and doctorate, his PhD in sociology, is from the University of California, Los Angeles. As a son of immigrants from Mexico, he has had a long history of connecting his organizing and academic work with community-based teachings, participatory action, and engagement. Jose has recalled visiting the national headquarters of the United Farm Workers of America in Delano, California. He still recalls Cesar Chavez's words, and I quote, "You have only so much time in your life, and you can easily throw your life away. Or you can use your life in service to others, empower others, in building a more just and equal society. Jose is a resident of San Dimas for 29 years. He lives here with his wife, Rose. Oh, Rose is with us. Hi, Rose. Um, and so my friend of more than 20 years is Jose, and let's welcome Jose. The floor is yours, Jose.
Oh, thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone who is connected in right now. And I did want to say that, yeah, we have lived here and Rose is here with my family since 1995. And before that, well, all of our lives we lived in Colorado after I came from Mexico at the age of 7. The reason I got involved with the farm workers movement is my parents were farm workers all their lives, and they only learned so much English. So I very thankful that I had a teacher, Mrs. Elder, I don't forget her name, in the first grade who stayed with me after school and helped me to learn English. And or I wouldn't be here today. Both of my parents have passed away, so has Rose's parents. And we only came out here from Colorado in '84 because I received a fellowship after many, many years of organizing, 14 years of organizing after finishing my BA. And we came out here and I went to UCLA, finished my PhD, and Rose worked with the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund. And so I became a professor. The reason we moved to San Dimas from Monterey Park, where I actually carried out my research and my thesis. We helped elect Judy Chu to the city council. Our first campaign, actually, in Monterey Park was involving Javier Becerra, who ran for the assembly. And I happened to win the contest at that time of the most voter registration, and I got a prize to go see the Broncos play the Raiders on the 50-yard line. And all the problem is they set me on the Raiders side, so I had to really be quiet because those Raider fans, I tell you. But anyway, the reason we ended up in San Dimas is in the house we live, a famous professor, Vicky Reese, was selling her house, and we had no money at that time. But Rose was persistent, and she figured out a way for us to do a down payment, and we've lived here ever since. A lot of our involvement has been in the city of Pomona. The reason for that is that when I became a professor, I had a student who was involved with organizing day laborers. And later, his name was Fabian Nunez. He became speaker in Sacramento. And so I got involved with the Day Labor Center and developing it, starting it from scratch. And it's still in existence and doing very well in the city of Pomona. And so we naturally got connected to doing work in Pomona. I'll talk a little bit about what kind of work we've carried out in San Dimas. But as I said before, because of my connection of the class to community engagement, a lot of our work has been in the city of Pomona. Let me tell you a little bit about the Latino Latina Roundtable, of which I'm the president. We just had our breakfast. Over 500 people showed up. I know Eric was there, and we recognized him. We also recognized James Shirley. And, we're very proud of the work we've done with them. But the organization actually got started 20 years ago. At that time, Harry Pachon, Professor Harry Pachon, who was in political studies, developed a center called the Tomas Rivera Policy Institute. And it was centered at Pitzer College. And he pulled me in one day and he said, all the studies we do are of the demographic changes that are taking place nationally, but we do very little on the local level. So I'd like to have a meeting with leaders in the Latino leaders in the area and show a PowerPoint on some of the changes taking place. I said, sure. And so with a few other friends like Gilbert Cadena and others, we pulled a meeting together in the founders room at Pitzer to see this PowerPoint on the demographic changes. Well, lo and behold, we had about 50 people, and Harry did not show up, and I was freaking out. So we ad-libbed, and Harry didn't show up because he was very ill that day and was taken to the hospital. He never really fully recovered. He had real heart problems, but we continued to meet, and we met in Claremont with a priest. This priest, Father Luis Angel Nieto, was just really loved by the parish, and so he allowed us to meet every month, and it led to in December of 2003 and June of 2004, this group that was really very loose, not more of a coalition type, uh, began to get serious. We actually led a march in December of 2003 from Our Lady of Assumption Church, and we actually went through San Dimas to Los Angeles. We went through 22 cities after Governor Schwarzenegger did away with a bill that would have given undocumented immigrants the right to a driver's license. Actually, we continued that work, and one of our members, Madeline Rios, later led a drive that gathered 10,000 signatures in support of that. And today, it is law, and I just saw where there have been 1.6 million who would not have received their driver's license if it had not been for this effort. And the good thing is they are also able to buy insurance, and it's proven to be very successful. The other one is when there were immigration raids all the way from Ontario to Pomona. And these were raids that took place at grocery stores, near schools. 432 people were picked up in a weekend. So with the priest, in a week, we didn't have a parade permit. We organized a march from Ontario to Pomona, and we hadn't prepared. I thought 300 people were going to show up. We were going to be able to go and have speeches in front of this citizenship place near the city hall. By the time I arrived that morning in Ontario, there were already a good 500,000 people. It grew to 10,000 people, so large that we couldn't go on the sidewalk. We didn't have a parade permit because I thought we would be able to walk down the sidewalk. We ended up having to have the rally actually in front of City Hall in Pomona. So with those, we became more serious, and we developed an organization that developed bylaws, nonprofit status, and a board, 7 at-large members and 4 officers. And we began to meet every month, and we named it the Latino Latina Roundtable because we have had members who are of Puerto Rican status, Dominican Republic. We've had some who are Central Americans, not just Mexican or Chicano, although we have members from every group. James Shirley, I know, is a member of ours. In turn, Rose and I are members of the NAACP in Pomona. And we've developed into 3 committees: the Education, Immigrant Rights, and the Well-Being Economic Development Committee. And we do 3 major events every year. One is Day of the Dead in November, the Cesar Chavez fundraiser and scholarship breakfast, where we give scholarships out. That's in March. And then a pilgrimage scholarship march and festival in April, which is about to take place on April 20th. I'll invite all of you in the end and give you some details now. Now, we were for a long time, probably 16 years, an organization where we didn't write grants and we didn't really worry too much about funds. We organized this annual breakfast, and we never really had a director or an office. But now we've moved to that level. We have a director, Lina Mita, we have an office, we have a staff. and we do a series of retreats to do strategic planning. I should tell you that one of the main priorities that the LRT has been moving toward is to figure out how we can sustain ourselves in the long term. But in building its successful work and its membership, it has really come from the people we've worked with in education, in immigrant rights, and what we now call the well-being economy. With this, I could spend all day, but we do community development meetings, we do forums, we've done community school workshops to train a core of parents and students to be informed on education initiatives, and to build coalitions to ensure financial aid, especially to underrepresented students. We've done a lot of work with legislators, local and statewide, to educate them on key measures that we support. And we've been successful in what we call college readiness of students from pre-K to college graduation and to the workplace. And as part of our growth, we are working with area colleges in building partnerships and internships that will assist the public schools in taking up the problems in the communities where our students are coming from. We're learning that some students, in terms of the high dropout rate among Latinos or African Americans, has a lot to do with what's going on at home or in their neighborhood. So we're working with Pomona Unified and other school districts, this College for All Coalition, to change that. Now, I should say that what makes our organization different is that over a 20-year period, we have built a solid base of members that have developed this culture or this thinking that Cesar Chavez promotes or promoted, or Dolores Huerta promotes, of using our lives in service to community. And so with this, then, our membership has developed a commitment and an organization that has relied primarily on the resources of its members. Only until recently are we moving toward writing grants. And these connections have included then the stopping of unjust checkpoints, supporting voting rights efforts that have ensured the implementation of district and not at large city elections. And that was true here in San Dimas. The implementation of workshops on how students can qualify for the DACA program, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. We've held workshops on obtaining a matricula consular card, which is an official identification document that is issued by the Mexican government, and workshops on how to obtain a driver's license. Our work on K through 12 and college pipeline issues has included our involvement in the College for All Coalition. Now, this is a key part that we've been part of since the beginning. The coalition is a multiracial statewide coalition in California that has been particularly effective in ensuring that there is investment in public higher education, and especially to increase access, affordability, diversity, and equity. And it was founded in 2015, but it now includes 70 some organizations throughout the state. And it's been part of developing a pipeline for K through 12 schools and reinvesting in public education. On the local level, through this College for All committee that we've held monthly meetings, and this has included a core group from Pomona Unified, Chaffey Unified, Mount Sac, Laverne, Cal Poly, and Pitzer. And since 2018, we've been part of, this is such a wonderful strategy. We're part of local legislative training every year. And every year we have an advocacy week. So how this works is we meet and we have a retreat. We figure out what are the key legislative issues that we can support. Then we train our parents and students in those key legislative issues. And on Advocacy Week, we actually fund a bus. We fill the bus, and then we go to Sacramento and meet with legislators and speak many times in committees on those key education bills. We have been so successful. We passed one bill that resulted in over $200 million to help develop the pipeline to colleges. We work with Pomona Unified to implement $1 million of that bill. And we worked with the administrators, and the result was that it definitely increased the amount of students who stayed in college and then who graduated. So we have continued to meet on a monthly basis, and as a result, we've also then developed scholarships, and we just gave scholarships at our breakfast and at our pilgrimage. The parents in the past have made all the food, and then the food is sold, and that results in scholarships. Well, we've had a record that every scholarship that we've given has resulted in those students graduating from a four-year college institution. Now, as part of our history in building local support for these statewide initiatives, we have participated in Latino family summits. And these, particularly with Pomona Unified, gave rise to forums. So we've had a number of forums, one on the educational justice movement, another one on ethnic studies. We had one on charter schools and public schools, and the NAACP helped us on that. And then on the new economy. And we've been very cognizant of then in our work reaching out to the local colleges and have been successful in getting students to apply. So these colleges love us because we send them students. I'm about to have two students graduate from Pitzer College who happen to go to Pomona Unified. Now, our goal then in all of this is then to take on the problems that are in our community, and also then to build multiracial unity. So with the NAACP, we developed what was called a Solidarity Center that includes the offices of both the Roundtable and the NAACP. Recently, we've grown so big that NAACP now has one office, and then we have another one. Before we were together. And this would not have developed if it wasn't for the seed funding of the sub-grant from the Asian Americans Advancing Justice. So you can see that in that, we are naturally building a coalition between the diverse groups. And our partnership with NAACP has allowed for collaboration on the Poor People's Campaign, on working with anchor institutions such as colleges, school boards, city councils, labor unions, faith-based organizations, and then political representatives. Now, I want to say right here in San Dimas, the Latino Roundtable, together with the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, MALDEF, LULAC, and the Labor Council for Latin American Advancement, joined in moving San Dimas from at-large districts to voting districts. And I have to say what drove this is, there was this group a while back who was trying to do away with sanctuary and went to every city, Pomona, Claremont, came to San Dimas. They were very vocal, and they wanted to do away with SB 54, the sanctuary. And we showed up to those meetings. Well, we noticed at the meeting, and we're glad that San Dimas did not go along with the amicus brief on that. But we also noticed that on the wall, there were no representatives of color on the city council in history, and only one woman. So we began the process then of working to, let's say, what does San Dimas look like? And what's happening all along this corridor of cities, all the way from Upland, all the way down to Pasadena, is that there have been dramatic demographic transformations. And San Dimas now is very diverse. And we found that when, in fact, districts were developed, that the result was three districts where actually the majority are AAPI, Asian Pacific, Latino, and African American. And if you have districts The good thing about it is that you don't have to spend as much resources, regardless of your color, to run. But the other one is that it gives more opportunity for those groups who have been historically underrepresented. So subsequently, as many of you know, with the work that we all helped to carry out, San Dimas did move from at large to district. And the result of that is we were so proud when Eric Nakano, a member of the Japanese American community in San Dimas, was elected in one of those districts, District 2. So he made history in that he actually is the first person of color to be elected. And he won with 75% of the votes cast. And in the recent election, Rachel Bratacos was elected in one of those districts, District 3, with close to 68% of the vote, again making history as only the second woman to ever be on the city council in the city. And we also laud that James Shirley, member of the NAACP, ran in District 1. Now, he ran against an incumbent, but he got 31% of the vote and is really positioned for the future on the San Dimas Planning Commission. So I think what is happening here is to really open the doors to individuals like James Shirley, who has been involved with us for a long time. And I think this is only the beginning of advancing a more diversity council and commissions in San Dimas in future elections. Again, in leveraging our work regionally in the city of Pomona, we were able, I want to really mention this, we were able to obtain support from the city council to advance the implementation of what we call a new economy proposal. And this includes working with community partners and engaging what are called anchor institutions, colleges, hospitals, city governments, school districts, labor unions, local businesses, and Pomona residents in building support for the concept of a well-being economy. And I really like this. This is about local wealth. And Rose knows, and James knows, David knows, one aspect of the roundtable. And in the past, we had 140 members. We would actually pick businesses in Pomona or in the region that we wanted to support, and we would tell our members go there because they support us. Right now, Rose and I only go to this one woman who gives haircuts in Upland, who supports us. And sometimes my hair gets really long, like it's getting long right now. I can't get an appointment because she's got so many people. We started to learn the power of nonprofits and how then we could support local wealth with the outlook that 80 cents of every dollar that is spent from local businesses, from small businesses, stays in the community. It goes back to the city, it goes back to the school board. So we've been doing that. But now we're moving way beyond that in working with a community on a horizontal basis. One example, let me just say, these efforts are about developing not just small business, but also cooperatives, employee-owned companies. And now this is really catching on. Governor Newsom recently, as part of a movement to establish a national infrastructure bank, recently signed a bill supporting the establishment of a state-operated public bank. There's only one state-operated bank in the country, and that's in North Dakota. And if you study it, it's really been effective. And the neat thing about these banks is all the money comes back to the community. The regular banks, they invested in corporations, they make profit, all of that. They take our savings. This one, any profits that are made go back to the community. So it's really good that locally representatives from the cities of Laverne, Pomona, and Claremont, about 50 of them, have been meeting on the possibilities of developing a regional public bank with the outlook of all investment returning to our communities. In the city of Los Angeles, this is recent, a report from the chief legislative analyst has supported, and they have allocated now funding for the development of a municipal public bank. So it'll be interesting to see how these directions develop. These are frontier areas on how to employ modern technologies in tackling urban problems, fighting for principles of racial equity, designing transformative solutions, and involving our communities in their implementation. We did receive funding from the city of Pomona, and when I say we, I say the Latino Roundtable, to now do a jobs project to hire 30 to 50 workers, thinking along these lines, and uh, uh, developing some form of cooperative. We have been working with, and unfortunately, the CEO just passed away this last month, so it set us back a little bit. But we've been working with a factory in Pomona that makes solar panels. And so we're using our influence with all the anchor institutions, again, the hospitals, the city, the colleges, in terms of getting them to eventually do solar panels, training workers to do those solar panels. So it ends up solving a lot of issues, production that helps the environment. Secondly, you provide jobs, and then you're laying the foundation of a cooperative form of business. And then the most important part that, you know, your example of the San Dimas run, that's why I run every year, brings money back here into the recreation, so you don't have to raise taxes. It's the creation of local wealth. So this takes thinking of new ways to democratize wealth, placing the interests in our communities in the forefront in all development, decentralizing power with the voice of our communities in the forefront, and planning that prioritizes jobs, healthcare, education, and investment in our quality of life. Just to finish, overall, I believe the roundtable has been successful now in implementing this process of going to Sacramento. We went to Sacramento. We supported a bill for community schools. Well, I have to tell you that Pomona Unified, we were the nonprofit that helped to develop the first community school inside Pomona Unified. Our name was on the first $1 million that they received on the community school. Well, now from going to Sacramento meeting, we now have 13 community schools at Pomona Unified. And this has then taken developing the leadership of parents to meet with legislators and to advance this idea of equity. And underlying it all, we have this philosophy of how do we work together in coalitions, in collectively carrying out such things as voter registration drives. And James knows that we in Pomona, with the schools, we would set up tables on the streets and do voter registration and then voter turnout. And now we're doing that in the colleges and in the high schools. At Pomona Unified, we're ensuring that when students get to be 17 years old, that they're already moving to register to vote. So with all of that, I did want to invite all of you to our annual Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta pilgrimage, which would be on April 20th. You know, what this state has done is, well, in March, that's when we celebrate the breakfast. We celebrate Cesar Chavez's birthday. In April now, they celebrate April 10th, Dolores Huerta's birthday. And the good thing about this is that it promotes the idea of how we can use our lives in service to community. So we've created this pilgrimage, pilgrimage is based on the concept that Cesar followed, which was really Gandhi. And Gandhi had a 250-mile march in India when the miners who worked in the salt mines would pull out the salt, but they wouldn't see any results back to the community. They often didn't have enough money to buy the salt. It all went to Great Britain. And so he did this salt march, which was 250 miles. So then Cesar Chavez did all these marches, which we called pilgrimage and fast, so that workers would have bathrooms in the fields, water in the fields. That was important for me because my parents were farm workers all their lives. So we do a short pilgrimage march. In the early years, it was 5 miles. Now it's very short. This year, we will be going from City Hall to Tony Cerda Park, which is an indigenous park. The theme is Unite to Defend the Human Rights of Our Communities. And then we do sell T-shirts, we do have food, and all the proceeds in the past go to scholarships. So this year we will present 4 scholarships, and every year the money we raise then, none of it goes to anything else except scholarships. So I invite you. It will start at City Hall, 505 South Gary, at a 200-year-old tree to honor the elders in our community. We will have the elders speak. We will proceed then to Tony Cerda Park, which is 450 West Grand, where we will plant a young tree to show the unity between the elder and young generations. And then we will have a big fiesta with bands and poets, music, mariachis, ballet folklorico, and courage games, music and crafts, and a puppet show by the CC Kids and Decolores. And then a variety of Mexican food will be provided by the local vendors. So with that, I thank you for inviting me and to let me share about what our Latino Latina Roundtable is doing. And I'm hoping that in the future, we can even work more closely as an organization with all of you at the Democratic Club, and especially on voter registration, voter turnout efforts. So I thank you, and I thank you, David, for inviting me, and thank the Democratic Club for inviting me.
So Jose, if you could take a few questions. If somebody has a
Sure.
question, you could raise your hand or put it in the chat. But before we take those questions, I'd like to ask you, Jose, if some of us would like to become part of the roundtable, would that be okay? And how could we do that?
Yeah, you know what I can do, David, is I can send you that information, and we can put it up by Rose. How do you want to share how people can become members? I'm not prepared to do that. We have a newsletter, and we have online a Latino Latina Roundtable a site, and right there at the front of the site, so you just type in Latino Latina Roundtable of the San Gabriel and Pomona Valley, and it'll lead you to where you can fill out the form. Right, Rose?
Yeah, I'll put in the chat our website, so you'll have that. But yeah, we are a membership organization. So membership is $25 a year. And if you are low income or senior, you can pay $10. And with that, you get your newsletter, you get all the information about what we're doing. The other thing is, part of what Latino Roundtable's purpose is to empower the community. It is to create leadership. It is to advocate, and it's to get involved in our community and activate our community, especially those who don't feel that they are part of the community. We want to welcome them and get them involved. And so I'll put the information on chat.
Okay.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, Rose.
Rose always saves me.
I also want to mention that Maria Galvan is online right now with us. She's a member of the board of directors, isn't she?
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything, Maria?
Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here. I'm also want to be a member.
Okay.
Of the Democratic Club. Maria, did you want to say anything on your involvement with the roundtable? Maria is also a student at Mount SAC, and so she always pulls students in to help us in our efforts from Mount SAC.
Yes, I love empowering students too at Mount SAC, and it's all to break down barriers and involve those that are from disenfranchised communities so they can become leaders and help others too. Thank you.
And if any of you have any questions or comments, you know, I would really appreciate it. Tracy, James, Matthew, Judith,
Oh, James,
Eric,
James, please tell
Evan,
us about your
Sharon.
connection to the roundtable. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to say that I am honored and proud to be a member of the Latino Roundtable. They're very active in the community. They're in the process of empowering people and also making sure that we not only get people registered to vote, but also try to help people understand how to make an informed vote and how to be able to research their candidates. They're doing a lot of things in the community. They're able to pull a variety of people within the community, where we're dealing with the young, we're dealing with the adults, middle-aged adults, as well as seniors. And through a collaborative effort, they make sure that when they have various programs, that all age groups are involved in putting the program together and also implementing the program when we have it. And when we did the event at the Fairplex, to see the young people that were there, the young people that were recognized, the young people who spoke, and the young people who received scholarships and what they're doing with their lives, in my opinion, was just very impressive. And I was just really happy and honored to be a part of an organization like this. And Jose, as well as the other members of the Latino Roundtable, is doing a great job, and he has a tremendous amount of knowledge and wisdom that he continuously shares with us in order to help us be better leaders within our families as well as our communities.
Thank you, James. I see our president, Matthew, has his hand up.
Yeah, I have a comment and a question. First, I want to thank you and your organization and members for your advocacy of by-district elections in San Dimas. You highlighted the transformation of the council that we're already experiencing. And I personally am very hopeful that we're certainly not done yet, but we're already seeing the benefits in the election of Councilmember Nakano and Rachel most recently in the benefits of by-district elections. So I want to thank you for your individual and organization support of that effort. My question is, you clearly had a direct involvement in the farm worker movement. You've mentioned unions being part of your anchor organizations. Where do you see the union labor movement today? Personally, I feel like we're in a renaissance of the union movement, but you clearly have a personal involvement and I think a unique perspective. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and David knows, because David has really been involved in labor, that our breakfast had every major union there, bought a table, everything from Service Employees International Union, San Bernardino, the Unite HERE was there, the UAW, UNAC was there. I could spend all this time just naming them all. But I think that is one aspect that is becoming stronger with the union, and that is that in the past, many unions were very much just centered on themselves and their benefits and their wages, and that a new strategy is to live in a community, to be part of a community, and then to begin to affect and influence that community in terms of local governance or state governance or federal level. And more than ever, I see that members have really gotten involved. So not just the funding then, but actually getting out and doing the door-to-door work, and unions are becoming very, very effective in being able to win elections. And then the other is then to be able to get better benefits and wages for workers overall. And now organizing in places that we thought could never organize before. You know, there was a time, and I really thank Maria Elena Durazo, she's now a state senator. There was a time when none of the unions believed that immigrants should be organized or that they had the capacity. Well, Maria Elena Durazo turned that around by organizing janitors, those who cleaned the hotels, and found that in fact they become leaders, and that they were the ones who really were able to spread data to show that when immigrant workers are organized, that they benefit the resident workers, because the employers in the past had this strategy of getting the resident workers or the citizen workers to fight the immigrants and to say they're the reasons why you have all your problems. Once they're organized inside, that conflict is done away with, and they're able to unite together to make changes and really hold the employers accountable. So that's something new that is, continuing to develop. And what you have is the rise of new leaders, that come from those backgrounds that are definitely having a tremendous effect. The other one is that, and this is just beginning to happen, is that unions who have big pension funds and they have a lot of funds are just beginning to do what I mentioned. They're beginning to figure out how can we use the funds we have to create local wealth, create cooperatives, create businesses. I have to share this with you with the farm workers, because the farm workers who worked in the vineyards, now you can go to the valley and you can actually do a tour of wine companies that now are controlled by former workers who picked those grapes, and now they're developing their own businesses. And who has helped to develop that has been the United Farm Workers. That's sort of a quiet type of organizing, but more and more unions are doing that to help local communities to increase their local wealth and to be able then to sustain themselves without having to raise taxes. So more than ever, I see the future of unions because of that strategy and going in that direction as growing and really having an influence not only locally but nationally in in the electoral arena, in the economic arena, and then in better benefits, wages, and health conditions for our workers.
Thank you, Jose. Any other questions? I'll turn it over to you, Matthew.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has a comment even.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
I don't see any additional hands, so
Okay.
I want to thank you so much, Dr. Calderon, for joining us tonight and being our kickoff speakers program in our community connections series. I think we all are way better informed about the Latino Latina Roundtable, and for that, I thank you so much. We will be concluding the speakers program, and I will be stopping the recording now, and then we'll transition to our membership portion.